Okay, so it's finally here, the M4 Mac Mini. We are going to be unboxing this and do a review on this one. But I'm really excited because look how small this is compared to the older one. I don't have the exact Mac Mini right now, it's in the office, but I have the docking station that I used at the office before, and this is pretty much what the dimensions are for the Mac Mini before. But let's unbox this first. I got the M4, this is basically not the most basic one, but not the Pro. So it has 10-core CPU and 10-core GPU, but I opted for the 512 gigabyte of storage instead of the most basic one, which is 256 gigabytes. Yeah, 256 gigabytes is the most basic one that they have because I don't want to have a headache with file transfer and stuff for later on. The good thing about this one, though, is that finally Apple has, I guess I would say, conceded from 8 gigabytes of RAM to 16 gigabytes now. So their basic RAM now comes with 16 gigabytes. But oh my god, this is really small. I swear to god. Look, it's crazy how they're able to pack everything inside this cube right here. Look, this is the regular Mac Mini. Well, not the height. Everything except the height. Look, the size difference of this one. That's crazy. Almost like 2/3 of the Mac Mini, old Mac Mini size. And look, comparison to my phone right here, like I can just palm it. Look at how big the phone is compared to it, maybe on the overhead camera. Oh my god, it's almost like one and, I don't know, more than one half, like, 1.8, well, like almost 2 phones side by side. This is crazy. And just to give you a comparison, hold on, let me get the my GPU right here. So this is the Sapphire Nitro 6900 XT right here. Look how massive this is, especially when you put it beside the Mac Mini. This is huge, but this is massive compared to this one right here. That is crazy. Oh my god. And to think this M4 chip right here is very fast. Like, it's not even funny anymore. This can like video edit, especially on Final Cut Pro 8K, like buttery smooth and all that. Although I'm not gonna do that right now, but we're gonna peel this off and check the dimensions. Is there anything here? Yep. Before we do that, it comes with the power cable right here. The good thing about this one is that they're able to, or they managed to put the power supply in this tiny freaking case right here instead of the external power supply or the power adapter. Look, we only have the cable right here, and with Apple fashion, these cables, or this cable, is very premium, feels premium. It's braided. I mean, it does not feel cheap at all. Really good. I think this is one of the best PCs or personal computers right now that you can buy. The most basic one is, with the 256 hard drive, is $599. Or if you have a discount, especially like a student discount, can go as low as $499, which is crazy. This one I got with the 512, I think it was around $699 or something, but very good investment, I would say. So we have, okay, this is quite interesting. The papers that we have, usually are like, the square ones or rectangular ones. These are circulars, and with the trend, yep, no more stickers right here. But yeah, okay, this is good marketing. Welcome to your Mac Mini with the circular ones and stuff, and very minimalistic approach to this one. And if I'm not mistaken, yeah, they're really, putting it everywhere. This is the first carbon neutral Apple device that they have, so, which is appreciated. But anyways, let's take a look at it. In the front, we have 2 USB-C ports right here and one headphone jack. Surprisingly, they decided to put the headphone jack in the front for easy access and 2 USB-C. The older Mac Minis never had anything on the front port. everything was on the back. And then we have a activity or LED light right here in the front to know it's, you know, there's activity and all that. And then let's go to the back. In the back, we have the power port right here. And then we have the NIC or the Ethernet port right here. You have an option to get to the 10 gigabit NIC, but I didn't go for it. I should have gone for it actually, and now I kind of regretted it. Then we have the HDMI and 3 Thunderbolt 4 ports. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it's Thunderbolt 4. 3 of them right here. You can use, you know, 1 HDMI port for 1 monitor, and then the Thunderbolt ports you can use USB-C to HDMI for up, you know, for 2 more, so up to 3. I'm not sure if it's 6K or 8K. Probably 6K monitors at 60 hertz. That's one of the downsides though with the M chips. You can put 3 monitors, but only at 60 hertz. Hopefully, we're going to test it if we can go to as far as 120 hertz on single monitor or with either of these ports right here. And okay, another thing I noticed, okay, we have the Mac Mini at the bottom. The grill is all circular. It doesn't have the exhaust at the back anymore. So they already have the grill at the bottom, both the inflow of the air and the exhaust. Yeah, basically, yeah, they're using this at this, you know, at the bottom as basically the exhaust and the airflow going inside from the front, going to the back. But again, hopefully we're gonna put a B-roll there and stuff. But the power button, the elephant in the room. I don't think it's a problem that, you know, it's at the bottom. I know I rarely turn off my Mac, especially my MacBook Pro, my M1 MacBook Pro. I rarely turn it off unless I feel like it's a little, maybe once every 6 months or something like that. But this one, yeah, I was kind of hoping that I could like just like put my finger in there. You actually have to lift it up. And one thing that's really annoying, like, it's a good thing they put the headphone jack in front, right? But why do you have to put the power port all the way at the back? Although, again, it's a minor issue. It's not a big deal. It's not a deal breaker and stuff. This is a really good PC here. But it's kind of weird that they decided to put the headphone jack in the front. Everyone, you know, that's much appreciated. But then the power button all the way to the back, especially if I'm going to put this tucked inside my, like I have an elevated, whatever, on my desktop computer right here. I'm going to put this underneath where it's going to be clean looking. So I was kind of hoping it's in the front, but I had to like really reach to the inside and, you know, press the power button right here. Again, not a big deal. I will not be turning this off, or I rarely turn off, yeah, any of my Macs. Okay, so with the power of video editing, I'll be right back once I set this up in the computer in front of the monitor. Alright, so finally finished updating, setting up my computer right here. I ran some Geekbench for the CPU and GPU earlier before I recorded the desktop and stuff. I'm going to put it on the B-roll. I just didn't want to, I guess, you know, I wanted to get the least amount of resources, you know, instead of like using the webcam and recording at the same time and all that. But I'm going to put it on the B-roll. Basically, the Geekbench CPU score, I got 3262 on single core and multi-core at 12,199. So I think that's pretty good. And you can see everything here if you want to pause it. But this feels very, very snappy. This Mac Mini is so freaking tiny and all. I'm going to show it to you right now. It's being tucked in here. I pretty much plugged in all the ports at the back. Anyways, moving on. Yeah, on the GPU, which is OpenCL score, I got 34,695. And then on Metal, it's 55,791. So let me know if that's a pretty good score, or leave a comment down below if whether I could have done a much better, because I was also recording and, you know, downloading, installing a few apps and that. Anyways, what I've noticed so far, again, I'm liking it so far. I'm on macOS 15.2 beta. So this is beta right now. You can see there's Apple AI right here. But what I notice, I currently have 3 4K monitors connected to it, which is pretty good. Especially it has, you know, variable refresh rate is at 48 to 120 hertz. So I like that. But what if you notice the HDR option is missing here? Unfortunately, it's either I have to go down to 60 hertz, By the way, this is plugged in on the HDMI port at the back of the Mac Mini. So I have to go down to 6GR to be enabled. Also, I'm not on the default, what I call the default resolution. It's on 1440p, as you can see. So 60 Hertz, it enables the HDR on my Dell AW322 OLED screen. 3225QF OLED screen, which supposedly has 240 Hertz 4K, right? But I think this is more of the M4 Mac Mini limitation and all that. We'll go in a bit. It's right here. Yep. It says here 2 displays. Well, you can have up to 3 displays, which I have, but 2 displays with up to 6K resolution at 60 Hertz over the Thunderbolt port, and 1 display with up to 5K resolution at 60 Hertz still over Thunderbolt, or 4K resolution at 60 Hertz over HDMI. So it's either you use all 3 Thunderbolt ports for all the monitors, basically they're still on 60 Hertz and all that, or the HDMI at 4K resolution at 60 Hertz. Or I can go back to the refresh rate of VRR refresh rate at 48 to 120 Hertz, but without HDR. Or the other option would be go back to 1080p, have VRR here, 120 Hertz, and HDR, but it's 1080p. I'm gonna lose much of my real estate, and at this point I've always been using the 1440p. 1440p right now is kind of like 5K display divided by 2 on the Mac right here on my 4K monitors. So yeah, you gotta have to pick your poison and all that. So for now, I'm just gonna have to deal with no HDR at 120 Hertz at 1440p resolution Retina, basically. Kind of a little bit sad because I have an OLED screen, or yeah, I have an OLED monitor, but I'm not maximizing it here on Mac. Especially, I was watching earlier on the Apple TV. I was turning on the HDR. I had to go back to 1080p and watch some of it on the Apple TV Plus, and it's really, really nice. But that's that. Moving on, let's go back here just for comparison. What I have is the M4, not the M4 Pro, the regular M4, which is really, really good for the value, by the way. I have the 10-core CPU, 10-core GPU, 16 gigabytes RAM. Finally, Apple has moved on or moved away from 8 gigabytes base RAM, but I opted for the 512 SSD storage, so I don't have any headaches transferring files. Especially, I have lots of large video files, 4K files that I'm going to be transferring back and forth, with video editors and people. So yeah, so the best value for the money, bare bones basic, this guy right here. $599, 10-core CPU, 10-core GPU, 16 gigabytes, about $256. But the good thing about it is Max Tech actually opened the M4 Mac Mini, and surprisingly, Apple did not solder the SSD. So that means you can remove it and replace it with a bigger storage. You don't have to pay a lot on Apple to increase your storage, but I still opted for the 512 and be done with it. If I need more storage, I'm gonna try to open it, but right now I don't want to open it. Anyways, just for comparison, M4 Pro has 12-core CPU, 16-core GPU. Base RAM starting at 24 gigabytes RAM with 512 SSD storage, but it's at $1,400. That becomes, a normal Apple price, basically. This is very, very fast. If I'm not mistaken, you have an option to go to the 10 gigabit Ethernet. I should have done this, but I wasn't thinking that I needed that much on the M4 Mac Mini, because I'm mostly going to be doing all my business stuff right here. And I'm going to use my Unraid. I'm going to be separating my Unraid server. That's going to be for another video, by the way. And I am planning on hooking it up to my 10 gigabyte SFP Plus port. Anyways, that's it for now. Hopefully it's a short video still of unboxing the first impression of the M4 Mac Mini. I'm really, really excited. I'm going to do more in-depth review on the M4 Mac Mini on future videos. But don't forget to smash the like button, and if you haven't yet, consider subscribing to the channel. This is Lars, and I'll see you on the next video.